Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello everyone and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. Well, let's get right to today's show. Got a quick little correction from the other day's video. Actually, it's more of an amendment as opposed to a correction. I had reported that Manchester United was going to be selling David De Gea to Real Madrid for $35 million as a transfer fee, and that he was going to be playing in Spain. Well, it didn't end up working out, and a lot of that had to do with, well, there was a myriad of reasons, really. But the biggest deal is the mainland of Europe has a different transfer window than England, because each federation gets to kind of choose when their transfer windows end or whatever, and generally they try to keep it around the same kind of timeline. But in England, they have it an extra day longer. So while as everybody else ended theirs at 12 midnight on Monday, technically Tuesday, Tuesday was the final day for drafting on, or excuse me, for the transfers in England. So, but basically, since a player could go from England to Spain on Monday, but could only go from Spain to England on Tuesday. So therefore, they had to get the deal done by Monday night. Everything was reported, everything was filled out, everything was submitted. But for whatever reason, whether internal sabotage, whether it was a decision, a change of heart by Manchester United, whether it was just trying to stick it to the player, who knows? There are a bunch of reasons why this transfer may or may not have happened correctly. But ultimately, the paperwork got lost. It was not submitted in time to the football associations regarding both teams. So therefore, David De Gea is now staying with Manchester United until at least the January window, maybe even till the summer, because Real Madrid may just decide, hey, we're just going to go into the summer and get him then for free, as opposed to paying another transfer fee in January for a rental for a half season on the goalkeeper. One other thing, I had called Manchester United's goalkeeper Sergio Ramos into Sergio Romero. So that right now it's kind of a decision, where is Manchester United going to go with their goalkeeping situation. Victor Valdez is almost assuredly, barring some catastrophic injuries, he is almost assuredly not going to factor into this. He seems to have really gotten the ire of Louis van Gaal. David De Gea, talent-wise, I would not be surprised to see him return to the starting role. Sergio Romero has done a decent enough job, but he's not great. He's probably a solid backup. So I would not be surprised to see David De Gea return between the pipes for Manchester United, despite all the rancor going on between the two sides. On to the main topic for today. It's something that I saw while scrolling through ESPN's news feed this morning. It's kind of this overall topic. It's kind of a catch-22, I understand, because as somebody who wants to get into the media, I understand that now more than ever, the media cycle is 24/7. They always have to look for content to get on there, to fill up the websites, to get clicks, to get ad revenue in for various stories and whatnot. But I'm tired of this constant need to be elevating 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, high school people to be the next big thing. there was an article, and it was an ESPN Insider article, so I was not able to read the entire article, but I read a little bit of it. And basically, the big headline was talking about Marvin Bagley Jr. or Marvin Bagley III, excuse me, who is a grandson of a former NBA player. But he's at 16. He's already drawing comparisons to Kevin Durant. Well, right now, the only comparison that should be made is that he could potentially go drafted right out of high school. Obviously, rules prevent that, but that is what you could say the comparison is as far as I'm concerned. Because I'm tired of this necessity in sports media that we have to pick out the next big thing and compare them to what we've already known. Oh, well, LeBron is the next Jordan. This hockey player is the next Wayne Gretzky. The kid from Edmonton comes to mind. The comparisons go on and on. It seems to be a little less prevalent in football for whatever reason, American football, but basketball is probably the worst. Baseball seems to get comparisons like that every once in a while, and those are the most far-fetched even compared to basketball, simply because I remember J.D. Drew coming through the St. Louis Cardinals system. Oh, he was the next Mickey Mantle. The guy had not even played a game in the majors, and he's the next Mickey Mantle. It's so difficult to remain in Major League Baseball, let alone have shoulders broad enough to carry a comparison like that. J.D. Drew ended up being a relatively decent player throughout his career, but he was never going to be Mickey Mantle. Whoever came up with that must have been trying to sell something, because I don't know where the aspects came from that would even lend that kind of comparison, other than the fact that they both batted left-handed, I do believe. So maybe they both were number 7. I don't know. But ultimately, we need to stop comparing all these people, because I dislike the LeBron to Michael Jordan thing, because he's not Michael Jordan. You can sit there and say, well, he's better in this aspect. He's more dominant in this aspect. You can throw stats around that are going to say this player's better, that player's better. He's not Michael Jordan. He is not as offensively dominant as Michael Jordan was. He's not as quick as Michael Jordan was, but he's a different player. He's a different body type. He's a different style. He has a different mindset. Passing first comes more easily for LeBron James. When Michael Jordan had the pieces around him, he was more than willing to spread it around. He would pass it over to Scottie Pippen, toss it down to Horace Grant, kick it back to Steve Kerr or John Paxson. But most of the time it was like, this is Michael Jordan time, and I am going to be the one to win the game. If I see somebody who I feel can help us win the game, I will give it to them. Otherwise, it is on me. LeBron James, more often than not, will look to spread it around, saying, oh, I'm going to be the decoy. Whereas Michael Jordan was like, no, I'm never the decoy. If I find somebody who's open, and I don't necessarily think I have the shot, then I might give it up, but more times than not, I will take the shot. And this is not a Michael Jordan against LeBron James kind of bashing or trying to pick one over the other. It's simply, I'm tired of the comparisons. 16-year-old kids should be compared to other 16-year-old kids. LeBron James, when he was 16, it's fine to say that he was the most dominant player of that era because he was so much better than anybody in his age bracket. But he should not be compared to men who have had careers, who have gone through their NBA lives, because that is not a fair comparison. I understand that he ended up being that great, and he is probably the best NBA player on the planet right now, but that does not mean that he was necessarily the best then, and that did not necessarily mean that he was going to achieve the heights of Michael Jordan, simply because Michael Jordan was something in and of himself. And as NBA talents, they are similar in terms of their greatness, but they are still different styles of player. And to put this burden on people, whether it's in hockey, basketball, soccer, football, whatever, I'm just tired of it. We need to kind of stop grandirizing these kids when they're still in high school. I dislike this idea of ESPN covering high school games. Every once in a while it's okay, maybe if it's a championship game and these are two really top-notch teams and it would make for great TV, then that's fine. But other than that, we need to stop focusing so much on the next generation. We just enjoy what is out there, what is in front of you. Enjoy Kevin Durant now instead of looking for the next Kevin Durant, because these players' careers are ultimately so short that we need to enjoy the people that we have while they're there, not necessarily looking at high school players. Football, it applies to that too as well. Cam Newton has a brother. They just posted a video of him doing some great stuff on the football field, but he's going against high school kids. That doesn't mean that he couldn't have a good pro career if that is his choice. After going to college and having a decent career there, if that is his goal. But these kids are still in high school. They're going up against kids that will never even play in college. So to sit there and say that their talents automatically translate and that they should automatically get comparisons just because they're related to somebody, or just because they have the same body type, or because they have the same playing style, or simply because they're so far and away better than their peers, to me, it's just ridiculous. I'm a little bit tired of it. Stop comparing everybody to who came before. Enjoy them for what they are. Enjoy them for what they could be, if that is your choice. But stop saying that they're the next greatest thing of all time. Which reminds me of that Russell kid who is going to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't care what highlights you saw on YouTube. There is no way that Tracy McGrady is ever deserving to be in the mix for greatest of all time. But I could go on another video. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. We'll wait and see. But that is the view from the Midwest. What are your views on today's topics? What do you think about the David De Gea mix-up? What do you think about some of these kids being compared to the all-time greats and stuff like that? Comment, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on Facebook and or YouTube. And until the next time, I'll see you then.